Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite dark sorcerer here, Michael Hyson, aka Angelus Son of Abaddon. Now, tonight, I'd like to discuss with you a little bit about sorcery and how it is a tool to help you as the individual create a form of personal gain. Okay. And this is a tool that is really beneficial in some cases and really a disadvantage in another. Okay. It's kind of like damned if you do and damned if you don't. And I'll tell you why. On one hand, the darkness that surrounds you as a sorcerer, okay, is something that attracts a lot of individuals too. Okay. They flock to you like a moth to a flame. They don't know why. But you can use it to your advantage. Okay. Now, say for an example, you want to do something in the art of seduction. Okay. Number one, you've already got that cool factor. You've already got that darkness around you that has attracted that opposite sex, you know, attention, the attention of the opposite sex. Okay. So, as a warlock, as a sorcerer, you can utilize that doorway that's already open because you already have that woman's attention. All right. Now you just have to put on the persona and apply it within the right way. Words, in my experience, really plays a huge part. Okay. Especially when dealing with women. Okay. Saying the right things at the right time, being understanding, even though you don't really give a damn, okay, about what she's talking about or what her interest is. It's more of the fact of you're looking for something and you're going to use what you have to get to what you want. All right. Now, sorcery can be done with, say, for an example, a sweeten spell, like, say, a honey jar spell. Okay. But you really don't need that type of sorcery for it. All you need is a different type of sorcery, psychological warfare, understanding your opponent is 99% of the journey. Okay. The rest, that one percentage, is taking advantage of it. Okay. Now, for an example, when I was down in Texas, I had this former friend who had a history of storytelling. You know, most annoying guy you'll ever meet. Especially when you watch him coming up the road, and then he comes in and starts spinning this tale. Okay, he and his wife were, they played, off each other. Okay, and through him, I met his brother and his brother's wife. Now, his brother was a or is a registered sex offender down there. Okay, and what was interesting is this guy's wife wanted out of the marriage. Okay, she wanted out of the marriage. She wanted to get away from all this negative publicity. Okay, she wanted her kids away from him, you know, or her son, I should say, at the time. Since then, they've had another kid, but and then got divorced because she thought that she had a future with someone else. Okay. Now, in this case, I utilized what I wanted to get to what I wanted. Okay. And I did whatever I had to do. Okay. I used words, I used actions, I listened. Okay. I was there as a friend. Okay. I promised her everything under the sun, the moon, and the stars. I seduced her. In a sense, this is sex magic. Okay. In a sense, this is the art of seduction, much like the incubi or the succubus. Okay. Early forms of demonolatry. Okay. And I utilized this right up until the point I left town. Okay. And I left and I moved all the way across the country, set up shop somewhere else because I was bored, but more so, it was time for me to move on. Okay. Now, for the next 3 years, she stayed in contact, the promises kept going. And then she realized she got divorced. She got her own place. She and her kids are being, supported through alimony, child alimony, those little pesky little bills in that case, and child support type payments. And when she realized that nothing was going to happen between she and I, she had basically given up. She had already moved on. She'd gotten a divorce, the whole kit and caboodle. And that's when it struck. She got what she wanted, that she didn't have the balls to do herself. I simply led her to a path that would allow her to do so. Okay. Now, let's say, for an example, there's someone that you want, but you can't have. Okay. Earlier, I mentioned the honey jar spell or a sweetener type spell. Okay. You can utilize rose petals, a photo of your target. You can utilize, hair, utilize a voodoo doll, an effigy, any of this stuff that can be utilized to help change those currents into your favor on a spiritual level. Okay. But that's just that type of that's what's classified as a lust spell, okay, a lust ritual. Now, a compassion ritual, on the other hand, using sorcery as a tool, you can aid somebody in either healing or, say, for an example, getting rid of the drama in your life. Okay. And the one thing I learned when I was down in Texas from a shaman was putting up a protection barrier, a protection bubble. Okay. A bubble that was herbalism. Okay. Not just elemental based. Okay. Now, the guy that I was living with, he and his wife, my former best friend, my former friend, who was who's claims to be a neo pagan, by the way. Okay. He went around with all the elements of earth, water, air, fire, the whole king caboodle, and utilized, the spirit at the end. Me, I utilized what the shaman showed me, okay, which was 3 incense sticks, one apiece, okay, burned at the exact same time, indoors and out. Frankincense, dragon's blood, and myrrh, okay. Now, you can do whatever sign, symbol, or sigillium that you really want to do. Okay, what works best for you? And at the time, because I was practicing Satanism full time, I utilize the inverted pentagram in spoken Latin at every archway, every entrance from sinks to doors to arches to windows, inside and out. And I spoke the term in nomine dinastri satanae luciferi excelsi. Okay. And I repeated this with every motion. Okay. Much in the same way a Catholic priest would do. Okay. But if you watch their hands, they're doing the inverted pentagram, literally. Okay. And it's supposed to be the cross. Okay. And the cross type thing. But instead, they're literally starting here. Okay. Literally, they're doing the pentagram with their hand. Okay. Hilarious. And kind of condescending and hypocritical if you think about it. But then again, when you're thinking of the biblical terms, 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4, Satan is the god of this world. Hello. Okay. All right. So, anyways, I did this inside and out, just like he did. And it was funny because we used to have people walk across the lawn. I mean, I'm talking probably 2 inches, okay? Maybe 24 feet. Not even that. More like 6 to 10 steps away from a window. Okay. That's how close to the house these people came. And they didn't go down the crosswalk and then take the other crosswalk. No, they cut right across your dooryard. So once this was put up, this protection bubble, they literally we watched them. They literally come down the street like they're about to cross and then do a wide berth. A wide berth. Okay. And that's after they've left and just got to the other side of the property. They'd come back over. Okay. And it's something that really, really works for sorcery, which in this case is alchemy, with herbalism. Okay. Noticing how to put together incense, either charcoal or that of incense sticks, creating them. You can even go to a store and buy them, like say Walmart or say Hobby Lobbies, or whatever place sells incense sticks and incense in general. Okay, even a metaphysical store. You can utilize this. Okay. And it's just a tool that allows you to put up a barrier that will protect you. Okay. Now, you can also go back into the old systems and utilize runes. Okay. Nordic runes. Okay. Those of the Druids, the Phoenician. Okay. You can classify it as the witches' runes, the Norse runes, the celestial, the Anglo Saxon. Even going to hieroglyphs such as that of the first or second dynasty in Egypt. Okay. Get into numerology, even such as the Greek, the ancient Greek formulation. Okay. These things can be put around your home in a certain frequency. Okay. A frequency that allows your home and yourself to be protected. Think of it as a warding. Okay. But also a way of protection. Okay. It puts up that barrier and it really does work. All right. So there's a lot of different means that you can utilize through sorcery. And then you have destruction rituals, okay, where you want to eliminate an enemy. You're not going to teach them a lesson. No. You want to deal with them and just get rid of them. So destruction rituals would be a very good thing. You can utilize the destruction ritual to visually utilize a black candle. Okay. You want to use a black candle and you want to send all that negative energy that's inside you and inside your home and put it into that candle, and as it burns, it's sending that negative energy, that current out into the expanse, the abyss. All right. The wastelands of space. Okay. But if that doesn't work, you could always use a photo, nail clippings, hair, blood of your enemy, even anything connected to your enemy. Okay. The soul worm is a classic voodoo tradition of utilizing the effigy, the voodoo doll, okay, as it's known today. And you can plant one of these little ringworms, these little worms inside, and as it burrows in, it's really causing a lot of damage to the body, okay, of the effigy, okay? And symbolatry to that is doing the exact same thing to your target, your enemy, okay? Now, I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. Is it right to kill an enemy through sorcery? If there is no other way, the justice system has failed you, the community has failed you, and this individual is just getting away with murder, then guess what? Dark sorcery is a way to go. Okay. Sorcery has been used for hundreds of years, if not thousands of years, going all the way back to the 13th century, the 14th century, even. Okay. 14th, 13th century and beyond. All right. You look at the Spanish Inquisition. All right. Even Sumnus Dreadwood, through his book, The Black Scriptures, okay, that of Charnel Whispers, even discusses how sorcery and black magic was utilized to target those leading the Inquisition, all right, against the left hand path, the paganism or communities, all right. So, I mean, right there, that should tell you alone that this is not the first time magic or sorcery has been utilized in defiance or in defense, even offensive or defensive practices to either teach an enemy a lesson or to destroy an enemy flat out. All right. In Norse mythology, specifically that of Scotland, there was a lot of different sorcery tools and methods. Some things that we would classify today as outrageous. Okay. For an example, did you know that in the old days, kissing a toad would get rid of a wart? Today, you have this lullaby type aspects through Hollywood produced films, as if you kiss a frog, it would turn into a prince, which would utilize more reality wise, turning into a prince or getting rid of warts under the pale moonlight. Okay. But there was another method going from one side of the village to that of your interest without being seen would mean that the relationship would be victorious. Okay, that it would be fruitful and would happen. But if you were spotted running naked throughout the village to get to that location, it would be a very big negative, a big no. No, not going to happen, not going to succeed. You go back to the Paleolithic era, a little tool that we don't today for children's games, such as the hula hoop. Okay, they would use that back in the Paleolithic era for the hunter-gatherer species of the Homo sapiens. All right, if they rolled it and another threw a spear, if that spear went through the center, okay, victory. The hunt was going to be victorious. But if it missed, they wouldn't even bother to go out. Go back into Norse, such as the Vikings, the Anglo-Saxons. Before they went into battle against a very ruthless adversary, one that was unknown, they would go to a seer who would cast bones and read the bones and tell them what they're going to need, how many numbers, and what to expect. Okay? The type of predictions that we now see with cartomancy or scrying, such as scrying mirrors, or that of, say, oh, I don't know, let's go with scrying bowls. utilizing demons such as that one being from the Goetia, such as Seer. Okay, Seer will tell you fortune from past, present, and future. But then again, so many of the goetic demons do tell the past, present, and future, don't they? Kind of ironic, isn't it? But here's the kicker. A lot of the, I was talking with an individual in the dark sorcery group, and I was asked, what grimoires do you follow, if any? Number one, I don't follow grimoires all the time. And this is why. A lot of these grimoires that a lot have been done to death have been influenced by the JCI. You look at the names of power, okay? Elohim, for an example, that's Jewish for God. Yahweh, Jehovah, that's JCI, okay? Christian influence, okay? But a lot of these traditions today, such as Hoodooism, Santa Morte, Pelo Mayambi, even Quimbanda, even, have been influenced by the Catholic Church, okay? That of the JCI in general, okay? You look at every time Brujeria down in, say, Tucson, for an example, if you're riding the bus and you drive past and the bus drives past a church, you watch these practitioners, these people, they're so influenced by these lies, these corruptions, that they sit there and do this, even though they're wearing a pentagram around their neck. Okay? You can watch them do a black magic spell in the back of a room. And as soon as you drive past the church, oh, there goes that cross. Right? Boom. But you notice it's an inverted cross. Okay? Isn't it ironic that the inverted cross is associated with St. Peter, but also goes all the way back into alchemy and older cultures? Ironic, isn't it? All right. So, this is the reason why I don't get into these grimoires. They've been done to death and they cover the same topics over and over again. So, if I had to choose grimoires that I would follow that is unique, I would go with the Munich Manual, what used to be known as the Munich manuscripts for the 15th century necromancer, which actually goes all the way back into the 11th, 12th, and 13th centuries, long before it was published as a manual. Okay. And most recently, it's a $40 book for the 15th century necromancer by Richard Kekeffer. Okay. Now, I would choose that one, namely based because of the experiments that is noted in it. The experiments are sound, okay? But then you've got the book like, let's say, for an example, the Red Book of Appin, which was the scribe of Dracula, Vlad the Impaler, okay? Incredible PDF, okay? The book itself is tied into a lot of dark sorcery methods, okay? Such as following a wizard, condemning and denying, renouncing the church and everything associated with it, just to become one with the darkness and to learn from that wizard, okay? That is the servant or the ambassador, the representation of the devil, okay? That of Lucifer, Satan, maybe even Samael, okay? And the Red Book of Appin talks about Samael, okay? And if you follow Lilith, for an example, Lilitu, okay? Lilith is a concubine of Samael, okay? And a lot of people associate her with Adam, okay? But yet, there's really nothing associated physically with in the Bible or biblical terminology that's associated Lilith with Adam. Okay, there's Eve. But if you go back into chapter 1 and chapter 2 of Genesis, that's when you're dealing with the first man and woman created spiritually. That was Lilith. Okay. Not Eve. Eve was not created until chapter 3. All right. And these beings were made physical flesh in chapter 2. Okay. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. Now, outside of these two grimoires, the next one would be the Black Raven, otherwise known as the threefold coercion of hell. Okay. Even Dante's Inferno, okay, was a lesson plan, okay, for dealing with demonology and sin. Okay. The Black Raven, on the other hand, deals with angelics, both celestial and the fallen. So, but they're all unique and clearly states what they're meant to do and how they do it. All right. Now, those are the grimoires that I would follow personally. Okay. Because they're not influenced by JCI. Okay. They're not influenced by names of power. Okay. Which is meant to dominate a demon or an angelic being. No. In my personal experience, you've never had to deal to some force a demon to submit. I've never had to sit there and have a demon submit to me. No, it's always been a mutual beneficial relationship. Okay. So when we get into magic and we get into sorcery in general, magic to me is associated with stage magicians. It's the same thing with the name magician. Okay. It's you look at Chris Angel or David Blaine, magician, illusionist, same freaking thing. It's not magic. It's not sorcery in general. So therefore, that's what I would stay away from. Okay, because I'm not in it for showboating. I'm not in it for financial gain. If you actually follow mages and sages throughout history, specifically those of European descent, you'll note, or even African traditions, okay, descent wise, you're going to notice that number one, they're outcasts. Okay, they tend to be loners like the hermit. All right, they're not in it for financial gain. As long as they have enough to get by, that's what they used. Okay, if you go into African traditions, the sage or mage was always associated close with the king of a village. Okay, the leader of a village. Okay, and what was legal in one village could be illegal in another. Today, if you go into places like Malawi, Ethiopia, the Congo region, they have witch doctors. And it's said that these Boko or Bokor fear these dark sorcerers fear the witch doctor because he has the power to eliminate, okay, that sorcery that has been done. All right. But here's something else that I found interesting just in that topic alone. Okay, is even in European traditions, a shaman lived on the outskirts of town. Okay, if you take a village, the shaman or the sorcerer or sorceress would live right on the outskirts of that village. Okay, and people would go to these sorcerers, these sorceresses, and they would ask for their service. Okay. Those who could pay money would give currency, but those who didn't, which in most cases, which would say 8 out of 10, maybe 9 max, would give fish or furs in exchange for that sorcerer or sorceress's aid. They're uncanny and unnatural abilities to make changes in somebody's life. Okay. Now, even in traditions of Northern Europe, say, for example, in ancient Gaelic, the Druids, okay, had two sides to them. The Druid, meaning white oak, okay, white oak. The Duroc, meaning dark oak, okay, good and light. Okay, much like the Drelith, the white elves and the dark elves. Okay, angels and demons, if you go into the Greek definition of daemon. Okay, same characteristics, good and evil, light and dark, going all the way back into Sanskrit. Okay, ancient Arabic. Okay, and a lot of this duality literally goes back into them. And when any system of magic that is outside of this has been used to bring forth change, to bring psychic awareness, to become more sensitive with the energies around them, not only inside of the sorcerer or sorceress, necromancer, mage, or sage, but also around them. You just got to understand and allow yourself to open up to these energies, to learn what is real and what is not. Can you use sorcery for personal gain? Yeah, you can. But there's a downside to it. As I said, both a positive and a negative. You can utilize it, but over here, you're going to lose something else over here. You see, you're not going to get rich and famous. Even throughout history, anyone who's dabbled in the occult has, in fact, never gotten rich. But instead, history and mythology has clearly shown that they've lived comfortably. Okay? Magic can be used. And in the case of the Mazajira Cabal system, their founder and those who joined the order early on literally used sorcery to strike back at the inquisitors from the Spanish Inquisition, not only in European, but throughout the old world. Even today, the Mazajira Cabal still reigns supreme, in my personal opinion, when it comes to the sorcery. Okay? I have recommended certain things to some brothers and sisters in the satanic world, the satanic community, things that I know they're going through. Okay? And as soon as I gave them to them and they drew them and put them in play and they experimented a little bit, they saw a huge change. Okay? And this is just defensive things. Okay? That Summonist Dreadwood himself discusses in Spiritual Warfare, Volume 3. Okay? You can find that right here on YouTube. All right? I would recommend starting at Spiritual Warfare 1, 2, and then go into 3. That way you have a much clearer understanding of the term spiritual warfare. Myself, personally, I have utilized hexcraft, cursing, to eliminate my enemies. Because to me, it's better just to rid yourself of that enemy, period. That way they cannot go off, heal themselves, gain more followers, and then come back and strike again. Okay? You can always tell the difference between those who are willing to learn after getting knocked down. They humble themselves. They really know the difference between what they did and what they have learned due to their failure. Okay? Now, those who don't learn, you can really tell just by their words, their actions. Sorcerers and sorceresses really develop a keen sense of ethics, rules, regulations, and laws that they go by. But also the way they represent themselves. Okay? If you take what somebody says and then you go do your own homework and all of a sudden you're like, that's not correct. Guess what? That person's really not a practitioner because they're listening to what they've been told. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this firsthand. They're the first person to point fingers. But as that old saying goes, with every finger you point, you got 100 more pointing back at you. That's why, personally, my motto is to back up what I preach. And I always make myself available to the public because I'm responsible for the things that I say and do. It's called a code of ethics, it's a code of honor. Okay? So when we use magic or sorcery in general, there's offensive things, there's personal gain, there's destruction rituals, compassion rituals. There's so many different things that you can do just by deploying sorcery. The will of intent. The first thing in the witch's creed, the witch's pyramid, is to know. Now, why is that? I'll tell you why. Because if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know the magical system or the mechanics behind it, you're not going to get very far. It's like learning your history. A man who does not learn from history is doomed to repeat it. The same thing goes for females. Okay? To know will get you to the next step, and then the next, and the next, and the next, all the way down to go forth. To know, to will, to dare, to keep secret or to keep silent, and to go forth. Okay? All those just to create those pillars. Once you've gathered those pillars and you've mastered the 5 elements, you've mastered your descent in who you are and what you're about, then you can go forth and start utilizing that energetic field, that current, and directing it to where it needs to be in the world. But first, you must look at yourself. Now, personally, I recommend Marcus Aurelius, his book Meditation. Incredible book. Even Antonio Banderas said it best in an act of vengeance. The average human in a run of a day speaks about 8,000 words. 8,000 words in one day. Talk about socialism. But if you learned to shut up, to close your mouth, and to listen, to observe, to allow your other senses to kick in, you'd be surprised what you're capable of doing. Even if you utilize The Art of Cognitive Warfare by Alistair Notch, or that of Sun Tzu's The Art of War, maybe even utilize the book The Russian Classic itself as an example of political warfare, war and peace. Okay? War and peace. There's a lot of stories in there, but guess what? It's a lesson. It speaks to the 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th centuries in Russia. Okay? The political hierarchy of a kingdom, such as the inner court of a king, the castle politics, political aspects of ambassadors coming into your kingdom and trying to manipulate things to their own benefit. And you have to sit there and weave through that minefield exactly the same way. Did you learn nothing from the TV show Rain? Think about it. You watch that and you'll see exactly what I mean. Okay? But then I want you to go out and get these books. Don't do it because I told you to. Do it because you want to. All right? And you read them, you break them down, you study them, you learn the mechanics and the methods, and you start applying it to your life. The best thing you can do with sorcery is learn history, mythology, and art. Okay? It's not just a science, it's not just a faith and a belief in it. It's not just a historical account. It's in everyday life. But you got to be the one to step up and do it. You got to decide how you want to deploy the magic or the sorcery that you are weaving. Okay. I don't really go out and seek to do things against people because to me it's more of the fact that I want to teach, I want to guide, and I want to set the truth out there from various different traditions. Okay. That's just me. Okay. But you got a lot of these people saying, well, you have to do this and you have to do that. Otherwise, this isn't going to happen. I mean, when I hear this, I think back to my childhood. Okay. So many people said that I would never graduate from high school. I would never drive a car. I would never get a black belt. Okay. I would never do this. I would never do that. They would sit there and say, you can't do this. You can't do that. This can't be, that can't be done. I'm the guy that left them standing there with their jaws hanging down, wondering, how did I do it? Because I learned, I adapted, and I put my will out there. Put my will to know that you can do something, to will it to happen, to manifest, okay? To dare to do it, to stand against that hierarchy and become the heretic, the hermit, the hierophant, okay? The magician, even, if you want to go by tarot cards, which is also known as cartomancy, okay? The major arcana, all right? Now, from there, it's a matter of keeping your sorcery secret, only sharing it with those worthy, and then finally to go forth and to utilize that magic, that sorcery in general for your benefit, for your will, for your clients, and for your apprentices. Okay, to teach your apprentices is to further your line, your tradition. All right. Now, personally, out of every system that I've come across, there's only one system that I have been dedicating my life to, outside of traditional Satanism, and that is necromancy through the Mazajira Cabal system. All right. But I do employ that you go out and get the sources that I've cited. Learn for yourself, not for somebody else. All right. Really get in there and do what you got to do for you. You got to remember that at the end of the day, you're alone. Not everybody is going to be for you. Okay. I look at my son's mother. She's not content with what's right here. Okay. I've been protecting her. I've been teaching her and guiding her. But yet she's making mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake because she believes that she is right. And then she wonders why she's got her ass in a sling. And then I have to guide her to do things to get out of it or to deal with it. But she doesn't take the advice anyways. So what's the point of giving it, right? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Sorcery is the exact same way. Okay. Like tonight, I got home from work. I just wanted to chill out and relax. Wanted to charge up my phone. She's in there talking to a new guy, doing things that over the phone that, let's just say, shouldn't be done over the phone. But that's what she's doing. So you got to understand that loyalty and trust, honor, respect, these things play a huge part in sorcery, even with the beings that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. It's not just the physical, it's also the spiritual. To defeat something in the physical, you must go into the spiritual, the astral. And that's how you begin. But you got to know what you're doing. So again, learn your history, learn the mythology, learn the mechanics behind the traditions that you're getting into, and don't accept things at face value. Okay. So If you do your homework on anything that you're told that is told to you at face value, and you take it and you go in and you do the research on it, if it doesn't line up, don't do it. But if it does line up with everything you're being told, go for it. Just go for it. Okay? But no one's going to do the work for you. Only you can do that. But sorcery can help you. It can open doorways, even lead you to other sources that was previously not even known or even noticed. Things that you've read, 100 times, and all of a sudden, bam, a reference jumps out at you out of the clear blue sky. That's sorcery. That's utilizing entities and forming those relationships through trust and loyalty, making those pacts with them, trust and loyalty, but also mutual respect. Sorcery can get open doors that most can't. At work, I utilized sorcery to get what I wanted. Now, sure, it didn't, you know, happen the way I wanted it to, I was expecting. But here's the funny thing, okay? Because I kept that door open and I'm willing to accept whatever comes of it, a lot of that drama that was at work is gone. A lot of it is gone. About 99% of that drama is gone. Okay? Even in my own life here at home, most of it's gone. Now, why is that? It's because I utilize sorcery. I put my will and my intent, and I put my request to the gods, to the universe, and said, hey, I'm tired of this shit. Guess what? This is what I want. This is what I'm going for. I'm going to let you do the work. I'm going to let you go out and open the doors that will benefit me dearly in the long run. Well, most of the original crew at work is gone on the shift that I'm on. Okay? Most of it. 99% of the drama gone. Just like that. Gone within just a couple of months. Gone. Within 1 month, 5 people gone. 5. Within, okay, when I put up wardings, cloaks, and cloaking sigils, and putting up these barriers, these protective barriers, and the wardings and everything, the amulets, the talismans around my place of residence, guess what? 96 to 97% of all that drama, even 98%, gone. Just 98% flat out gone. That's what sorcery can do if you're open to what will return to you. Okay? You may have your intent and you may have an image in your mind, like, say, becoming a manager, removing all obstacles to become a manager. That may be something good. Okay? You can sit there and eliminate everybody in your way, but then you wouldn't have a company left now, would you? Okay, you wouldn't have a place of employment. So to do the best type of sorcery, the best one in my opinion, okay, would to be open yourself up to the universe and to the beings and the entities, the gods, the blatant lords, the djinn, the angels, the demons, the Ugan, the Loa, whatever, whichever spirit is willing to help you, to listen to what you have to say, that you work with, and say, hey, I'm asking you to go forth and to do this. Just open up the doorways to what will benefit me. But keep in mind, it may not be the way that you expect or that you were expecting to happen as an outcome. But look at it this way. If you want something bad enough, you can go out and get it. You can earn it. But let's say, for an example, you're not ready. So let's say, for an example, I knew a kid once All he wanted was to have a girlfriend. All he wanted was to get married and have a family. This guy went through 20, 25 years without a girlfriend. He was always judged, always, condemned because of his family's history, because of the way he looked, the way he dressed, who he's related to right down to the very religion that he practiced. Nothing worked. He tried changing to fit an image, a persona. He tried being himself. Nothing worked until a friend of his hooked him up with a girl and they had a kid together. But what's ironic is that this guy was told point blank, what you want is not necessarily something that's good for you, but there's a difference between a want and a need. Okay, you may need something. You may want it so bad that you can taste it. Okay, but it may not be good for you at this time. Okay, so this guy didn't really understand this. So he sat there. Years went by. And then one day it clicked for him. It wasn't going to happen. So he just gave up. Just walked away. Walked away from everything. Didn't give it, didn't care. Didn't want anything anymore. Basically, he tried everything to end his existence. He tried self-destructing just to make his torment end. But like he was told, you're wanting something that you're not ready for. Okay? Number one, he didn't have a home. He didn't have a car. He didn't even have a job at the time. So would it have been beneficial to get a girlfriend and have a family at that time? No. Sorcery and dealing with the gods are the same exact thing. You may want it. You may even desire it. But it may not be great for you at this time. You open yourself up to the universe and you allow them to work within your life. You can ask them for things. Okay? Take it from me. I've asked the gods two things. When I was down in Texas, before I even went to Texas, I put the petition out there and I called on Belial, who gives excellent familiars. Okay? And I said, hey, bring unto me a familiar. And I ended up with Bella down there in Texas. We met in front of a gym. She followed me a quarter mile to our home. A quarter mile. And then an hour later, we went back, ended up getting three of these cats, three of these animals off the street. Okay? Gave them a bath, gave them a good meal, a home, let them choose their names, their own masters. And from there, like I said, the rest is history there. Okay? But here's the thing. The second was for a servitor from Caracas. And I put this petition forth to Zazazel, the buried king. Okay? Nothing happened for like months. Okay? Months. Okay? Weeks, days, days, weeks. I didn't hear nothing. Nothing really happened, but I kept myself open to it. And then all of a sudden, right out of the blue while meditating, bam, a figure appeared to me. Bam, another one and another. And now I've got 4 beings that I'm working with outside of Zazazel. Okay? 4 beings total from different towers. Absolutely spectacular. Now, I may wanted it, but I let Zazazel bring it to me because it was in my best interest to listen, to learn. You see, it's called being humble. It's not about ego. It's more of the fact that when you open yourself up to them and you trust in them to not steer you wrong, you ask them, much like you would ask a parent for a dog or a cat, okay? A pet, all right? Same thing, okay? But in this case, it's more of a mutual spirit that's willing, or a species that is willing to work with you through your magical ascension or descension, okay? This is something that really works. These beings are there as nymphs, or not nymphs, but oh, what's that species there? Muses. There we go. A muse. Okay, they're there to give you a muse. That inspiration. They're there as spiritual guides, protectors, even those who teach you a certain path working. So Zazel is the Lord of Caractères. He was originally a necromancer who was given a position in the domain of Caractères. Okay. So you see, by letting these old gods, these old beings work in your life, I look back at my job, okay, and I see how they literally were working behind the scenes. I was angry. I was frustrated because of what was going on at the time. But what was interesting is when you realized it, when I realized what they were doing, it was amazing, freaking spectacular, even to see how they were working behind the scenes, removing the drama, removing the chaos, removing the obstacles that was standing in the way of myself and what I was going for. Just to see that is what sorcery can do through the sigils, through the glyphs, through the sigilliums, through the circle, through the altar and the spiritual workings, the channelings, the conjurations, evocations, and the invocations, through the sorcery in general. You open up yourself to a much, much larger world. All right. So, with that said, I hope this has been intellectual. I hope it's been educational. And I do hope that you go out and get the sources that I've cited here. I hope you do your research into the myths, the legends, art, and history of each path working and dealing with these entities on a massive scale, and work with them through a pact of trust and loyalty. Align yourself with them, build that relationship up, and just see where they take you. But make sure that if you do ask for something, that you're willing to accept whatever unfolds, because it just might be enlightening to see what happens, and it'll be beneficial in the long run. Trust me on that. All right. Have a good night, and until next time.